Professor Tamal, sir, around 15 students are there. If you're ready, then we can start, sir. I think some more will join.
Yeah. So should we wait for a couple of more minutes?
Yeah, maybe till 5:10. Can we wait, sir?
Okay. All right. We'll wait till 5:10. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Professor Tamal, we have around 20 students. It's time is also 5:10, sir. Shall we go ahead, sir, if you're ready?
Yes. We can start. Uh, so, hi, good afternoon. I'm speaking with the entire batch of MBA students, right?
Yeah, the marketing specialization students, sir.
So, I think Dharmendra, there seems to be some sort of a confusion.
Yeah,
You will have to speak with Professor Rajan because the
right.
link that you have shared, this is not the marketing specialization. This is for the supply chain management.
Yeah, actually, in our MBA Bangalore University program, we have only
Mhm.
three specialization: finance,
Ah,
marketing, and HR. So that is
uh-huh.
why marketing specialization students were prescribed to attend this session.
Okay, so
Yeah,
fair enough. So
yeah,
everybody wants to understand a little bit about supply chain and its career prospects, right?
yes, yes. They have been informed, Professor. All the students have been informed that this session is on supply chain management.
Okay, all right. Uh, so okay. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, I hope you guys can hear me out. If there is any challenge of any sort, I would suggest that you guys need to raise your hand, which is an option which is available in Google, and you can, shoot across your questions to me, and then we can sort of sort those issues, right? Uh, so Dharmendra, that's fine, right? This works out.
Yeah, yeah, this is perfectly fine.
Okay,
You
so
can.
let me then I'll have to share the screen, right? So just give me a second. Let me
Yeah,
share
yeah.
the screen. Okay. So is the screen visible, everybody?
Yes, it is visible, Professor.
Okay, just give me a second. So this one is visible now.
Yes, sir, it's perfectly fine. It's all right.
That's perfectly fine, right? All right. Okay. Let's start off the session. Hey, good evening, everybody. Uh, this is you're almost at the fag end of your the MBA program. I understand that you will be completing your MBA program in about 6 months from now, right, Dharmendra?
Yes, sir. By July 2021, they'll be completing.
All right. Okay, fair enough. So this is the so how I would run this program essentially. This would be an interactive session. I just don't want to have a session which is just one way. So I would expect the students to ask a lot of questions. Whether it could be in supply chain management, it could be in marketing, it could be in any other domain, but primarily this would be on the supply chain management. But please feel free to ask me in any questions. Right. So just a little bit of a brief about myself. Uh, Over 20 years of experience across uh, multiple countries. I have been leading teams in Europe, in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia. I have been based out of Denmark, in Germany, in Middle East, in UAE, in India, in Singapore, and in Australia as well. Uh, that's across organization and having worked with the leading Fortune 500 organizations. I have I'm an MBA from Boston, a Hult Graduate School of Business in USA, and an exec program with IIM Calcutta, and an international business leadership program with University of Zurich in Switzerland, and of course I have an engineer from NIT Goa. So as you could see that I could provide you a lot of inputs, not only in the area of supply chain management, but also in the areas of sales and marketing and any other business functions that you want to sort of understand and experience. Uh, okay, let's move into this next part, and this is a slide which I sort of always ask people. Um, do you really need supply chain management? And this is a slide where I would expect uh, some of the students to actually participate here. These are the three columns. There are 6 pictures out over here, and I would expect some of you to actually understand and ask me a question on why, which of these are supply chain management products. Is there anybody who would want to take a shot at it? Dharmendra, they have been, the mute is in their control, right? They can unmute and ask questions. Hello? Dharmendra, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can students, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, great. So yeah, because I if unless and until you'll say yes or no, sometimes what happens, the fact is that you don't end up hearing a lot of things. So fair enough. I will just continue. I understand the Dharmendra is not able to hear me. So do you really need supply chain management is a question that I normally ask. It's unfortunate that we are conducting this session virtually, but I normally have interactive session with students across various leading institutes and including DSU. So each of these, on the left-hand side, you'd see there is the Taj Mahal and the pyramids of Egypt. Each of these they wanted to make even centuries earlier, when you did not have anything in artificial intelligence, you did not have anything in business analytics, you did not have in data lakes, you did not have anything in big data. Nothing was there. But still, you had Taj Mahal created, you still had pyramids of Egypt created. And that was supply chain management at its best because it has endured for centuries together. If you look at the picture in the middle column, you have the Big Billion Days and the Great Indian Festival. We just concluded, both Amazon and Flipkart. I'm sure most of you would have ordered things online during this during the Big Billion Days or the Great Indian Festival. But please understand there is a lot of thing that has gone behind it, behind the scenes to get into the satisfaction levels that you would have expected. You'd see some fancy cars there. I mean, some of these are Tesla cars. It has taken a Herculean effort to get this Tesla product out in the market. There's a lot of supply chain into it. On the right hand side, if you see, there is Chandrayaan 2. I think some of you are familiar with it, or most of you would be familiar with it. It's the mission that to space that India has sent across the moon, and there's a lot of supply chain again, a part of this entire exercise. The last one we are all waiting for, the vaccine. The day the vaccine comes, we'll all be in the classrooms and having conducting sessions, and some of you who would, or most of you who would get placed, would work in organizations, in physical organizations rather than having this session. The reason why I put the last picture, the COVID-19 vaccine, and since you are marketing students, you would have, I'm sure you would have read enough amount of material in the media about the progress of COVID-19 vaccine, and a lot of supply chain management is going into it. A lot of marketing is going into it. Please understand, supply chain management is a topic which is very, very closely linked with marketing. You may find it pretty surprising. While there is an operational angle to it, and simultaneously there is also a marketing angle to it. The quicker you turn around things, the quicker you can sell it. Before you sell it, the turnaround and sell, you will need to market that. So it's extremely important. The marketing students also need to understand what is a supply chain management. I myself, I am a person with a marketing background, with a sales and marketing background. My 20 years have been, over 20 years have been in sales and marketing domain. But again, the vertical that I have chosen is in the logistics and supply chain management. So a sales and marketing of logistics and supply chain management. So what is supply chain management process? Most of you would have known what this process is about. Is essentially you are planning, you are sourcing, you're executing, you're delivering, and you're returning. This is a very, very simplistic perspective of what a supply chain is all about. Let's take the example of, for example, iPhone. Apple is manufacturing iPhone. Uh, there is a very complex process that goes into the manufacturing of iPhones. But then, end of the day, I have tried to put this in a very simplistic manner in 5 different categories. That is, you plan what you need to do, you source the materials that need to come out of it to make this happen, assemble those together, let's execute. On assembling, you will deliver it to the respective destinations, to the respective locations, to the respective retail outlets. And then if there is any faulty thing, it gets returned. That's called as reverse logistics. So I don't want to get into the theory completely, but then this is something which sort of gives you an overview of the entire process of the supply chain management. It's all divided into three categories. If you look at source, make, deliver, source, make, deliver, source, make, deliver, source, make, deliver. Again, in four different broad segments. That is the first tier suppliers who would produce it to the manufacturing and distribution and retail. So if you have to, for an iPhone 12, for example, the one that is launched now, if it has to be manufactured, you would have, for example, the motherboard of the iPhone being sourced from a tier one supplier. You would have the glass, you would have the panels, you will have all other miscellaneous things that are there, part of the iPhones, sourced from tier one suppliers. They need to be consolidated in a particular warehouse before they get starts distribution into the manufacturing location. Does anybody know where is Apple intending to manufacture iPhones in India? Hello. I would expect the team to sort of it's a participative thing. So is there anybody who would want to sort of answer where is Apple? You guys are marketing students. Where is Apple?
Chennai, sir.
Sorry,
Chennai.
it's in Chennai. And where in Chennai? Which is the organization which is a tier one supplier to Apple, which is coming up in Chennai? That's Foxconn, right? Foxconn is one of the tier one suppliers, the first tier suppliers to Apple. And that is where they would provide everything, they would consolidate, they would manufacture. And if you see an iPhone, you would see that it's assembled. Earlier, it was uh, designed in California, assembled in China. That was what it was earlier. But I think going ahead, the way it looks like, it would be like designed in California, assembled in India. And it would essentially be, it means all the tier one suppliers, the assembling out over here and the manufacturing, the final finished products would happen out over here. The iPhones would be distributed out of the Chennai plant of Foxconn, and then it would get distributed out over here right into the retail stores. That's how the entire process of the supply chain management works. I have given you a very, very simple example so that you could understand. Most of you use iPhones, and you all know, or it could even be an Android phone. The process remains the same. So just to explain it once again, from the first tier suppliers, the product flows right up to the retail, and from here the customer pays and the money comes out here directly to the first tier suppliers, right? Let's move on. So this is called as the Scm Circle, and this is something what as a part of marketing, you all would also get involved at some point of time. So this particular Scm Circle, it starts with supply chain strategy. You would have a marketing strategy sitting in this supply chain strategy. So a component of marketing would come into it. Supply chain planning, a component of marketing, which is pricing, would come into this in the supply chain. That's the reason why I say that marketing and supply chain, marketing as an overall function, is extremely important for supply chain, and supply chain is important for marketing as well for any organization. Then we move to the third one, supply chain enterprise applications. While there will be a lot of information, IT involved in this, but marketing does play a small role, if not a large role. Asset management, of course, there would not be much role of marketing here. This would be a lot of finance role that would be a part of it. Procurement, there would be a lot of operational part, which would be part of this out over here. So Marketing would not be a part of your product lifecycle management. Again, if you're talking about a product lifecycle management, marketing role comes into play. Your branding is going to be a part of this product lifecycle management. Your pricing is going to be part of product lifecycle management. Your market research is going to be part of product lifecycle management. All these are components of marketing. And finally, logistics. How do you move it? How do you distribute it? And what are the ways of doing and reaching out to a particular customer? So marketing has a role in almost half of the SCM circle that we see here. Let's move to the next one. So supply chain management is everywhere. If you look at this, and I will get into these details, industries, marketing is, supply chain is present for automotive sector, chemical sector, FMCG products, healthcare, medical device, consumer electronics, luxury, retail, e-commerce, your renewable energy, aerospace, defense, construction, every industry supply chain is required. So a supply chain expert can work in any industry. You are not restricted only to a particular industry. If you have the knowledge of what the supply chain management is about, which is about 80% same across industries, 70 to 80%, the remaining 20 to 30% is you will adapt it to various industries. Otherwise, it remains broadly the same. Look at the next one, service providers. And the reason why I'm providing this information is, and something which is similar even to the marketing discipline, is the fact that marketing will also be almost similar across industries, but not very similar to supply chain, because supply chain would be across industries. So you cannot be from a marketing of a banking sector and you cannot be selling chemicals. It's very difficult. You cannot be from a banking sector and be selling, say, healthcare products. It's difficult. But nevertheless, supply chain management is one function that is there across industries, and each of these in each of these supply chain areas, you have marketing embedded, as I mentioned in my previous slide. Let's look at service providers. Now, in service providers, you have supply chain technology firms, advisory firms. You have supply chain third-party logistics, fourth-party logistics. If some of you are aware of what these are, I could explain if somebody of them are interested in. I have been part of management consulting. I have been part of supply chain technology firms as well as the logistics companies. I have been part of all these companies which are essentially Fortune 500 companies and been part of large across geographies. And that's an opportunity that is also there in service providers. Functional areas. Now, in the functional areas, if you look at it, in terms of marketing, the roles here would be limited, but then in terms of the functional areas for the supply chain management, there are four broad categories. That is plan, you make, buy or source, and you deliver. So for planning, you need supply, forecasting, demand. Now the forecast modeling will be part of essentially business analytics. While business analytics is a different function in altogether, but is definitely somewhere related to the overall sub-function of overall marketing analytics. Your forecasting and demand, which will again have to be worked together with the supply chain management team. Then there is inventory management, then there is sales and ops. Each of the ones that I'm mentioning are career prospects for the supply chain team and the way it grows. Let's move to the next one, the company types. And again, this is important across various industries. a size, sector, scope. The size could be a startup, it could be a small firm, it could be a mid-sized firm, it could be a large firm. Are there anybody's here? Just wanted to understand from you. Are all of y'all completely freshers, or somebody of you still have some experience? Does anybody have any work experience here? Then somebody could just please raise your hand or sort of speak out. Okay, I don't hear people. So let me sort of just share this thing. Is that size in a startup, small, mid-size, or large? You need to decide in your career where you need to work. You are based in Bangalore. Bangalore is a hub of startups. You need to understand whether a startup which is operating in a garage is a good place to start your career with, or you need to start up in an organization with a fancy glass building. The opportunities in a startup which is started possibly in a garage or in a small building could be innumerable, could be, there is a lot of learning which is out over there, which may not be the case in a large organization. However, both have its positives and negatives. So similarly, even in supply chain management, when somebody wants to pursue a career in that supply chain management, it's a startup. You need to decide, whether it's a startup, small, mid-size, or large sectors. Again, in terms of scope, there is ample scope in supply chain management, because supply chain management is what drives the economy of a country. I think supply chain management is something that drives the trade of a country, and that's why the scope is tremendous in terms of domestic and in international. All the trade that happens between India and the other parts of the country can be managed for international opportunities as well as domestic opportunities. The next one, support and functions. In supply chain management, like sales and marketing, so I have myself been in sales and marketing across 3 continents, across countries, and having managed over few hundred people. I have also handled finance teams. I've also handled other parts of the functions, but broadly it has been sales and marketing. And let me tell you guys, it's a fascinating world out here in supply chain organizations in joining sales and marketing. You not only have such a depth of knowledge of multiple industries you would not have in any other industry. Let me just give you an example. If, for example, if you were to be recruited, campus recruitment, if, for example, consumer company comes in, FMCG company comes in, say, for example, let me take the example of Kevin Care, come in for recruitment, or Procter & Gamble comes for recruitment. You definitely, it's a fantastic organization to join, but then you would have in 2 minds. One is that you are restricting yourself, you are entering a domain which is only fast-moving consumer goods. If, for example, a bank comes in, for example, a Citibank or a ICICI or an HDFC Bank or a Axis Bank comes for recruitment to the campus, you get into sales and marketing. Then you would be getting your expertise in a banking sector, just like the way you would have got experienced in a Procter & Gamble in an FMCG sector. Or, for example, if a Tata Motors come in, you would get experience in automotive sector. But in supply chain management, a sales and marketing profile in a supply chain management, you would have exposure to not only automotive sector, you would have exposure to the banking sector, you would have exposure to the banking sector, you would have exposure to the consumer electronics sector, the luxury sector, the e-commerce sector. defense sector, all the sectors, by being in sales and marketing of a supply chain management organization, a large supply chain management organization, you would have exposure across industry verticals. You will not only have knowledge of those, but you can also utilize the knowledge as you grow as in your career. And you would be able to utilize that across industries because you have become an expert across industries and not just restricting yourself to one industry. So that's the beauty of the supply chain management and especially sales and marketing. So what are the various supply chain trends that we see today? And this is something which is extremely important for you guys to know as well. Is part of whichever function, whether it's marketing, whether it is sales, whether it is strategy, whether it is finance, whether it is HR, everybody needs to understand the supply chain trends. And this is more so in today's COVID-19 affected world. The world is not the same place what it used to be about 8-9 months back. It is a completely different place. And supply chain is something which is driving the change. Some of the trends, the key trends are that you move towards centralized procurement and logistics and tracking of costs. Earlier, it used to be you source from multiple countries, low-cost countries, but right now that has become a sort of a, an impact that is going to create with a lot of regional players coming up and which will play the role of centralized procurement. You will rationalize your supply base to a very small set of strategic suppliers. You will not go to multiple countries which are low-cost countries. You will go to countries which will provide you, or you will do, like for example, Make in India is a fantastic proposition. You will set up your suppliers in India. For example, let's take the example of BMW. BMW's plant is in Chennai. You have most of the tier 1 suppliers, tier 2 suppliers in and around the BMW plant. Let's take the example of Jaguar or Land Rover. Gone are the days where Jaguar and Land Rover used to be completely imported into India. 60% of Jaguar and Land Rover is now made in Pune. Well, 30-40% is still imported. The engine is still imported in from UK. But then about 60% of it is made in Pune with tier 1 suppliers in and around Pune. So that's why your rationalization of a small set of strategic suppliers is going to be the order of the day. And real-time response to customer requirements is something that is going to be there. It has been there, it is going to be there, and it is continuing to be there in a more efficient manner. There's some of the supply chain trends which would be there, and more would continue. There would be greater emphasis on forecasting, sales planning, and marketing will have a huge role to play in the planning and selling it across. Information sharing across the supply chain, visibility across the supply chain with better forecasting is something which is going to be the supply chain trend that is going to we are going to see. Everybody wants to reduce cost today. Everybody wants to talk about every supply chain manager or every manager has got the KPI or the key performance indicator to save cost, and everybody wants to save cost in terms of rationalizing your resources. There will be a lot of supply chain management professionals who would be in a requirement, and a lot of trainings would be taking place. What are the various hard skills that are required for supply chain managers? And some of these would be even relevant to the marketing fraternity. Is project management, most definitely. It depends which function of marketing you are in, you want to specialize in. If you are in market research, and this is before I go to this, is there any question that anybody has till now?
No, sir.
Can Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Okay, I don't see any questions from anybody. So please feel free to ask questions. Stop me and ask questions. It is not just about supply chain management. I have been told by the dean uh, and others that any inputs from the professional experience that can be shared with the students, which could help in their prepare them for the placement, prepare them for their career, prepare them for to answer interviews, is more than welcome. And I would be more than happy to help you. Don't just restrict yourself only to supply chain manager. You can ask me anything that is related to the career perspective. However, since the scope of this presentation is on supply chain management and marketing elements into it, I will run it and possibly will then have some questions from you from your career perspective. Not only in supply chain management, any career perspective you can ask me. Okay, so hard skills which are required for supply chain managers are essentially project management, as I mentioned. So in a market research project, if somebody were to run a survey of 10,000 people, survey has to be done. That's a project. Today, COVID-19 vaccine trials are going on. There are many organizations which are doing these trials. That's a project in itself. 20,000 people are being tested for COVID-19 vaccine before they are approved by the government. That's a project. So that project management skills are required. As I said, marketing perspective, even if it is a market research project, if it is a branding project, you need to launch a new brand, or product management, you need to launch a new product, which are all sub functions of marketing. You need to know the project management skills. And I also teach project management to the executive MBA students in DSU and other institutes. So that's something which I can help many of you all with as well. Pricing management is part of marketing, 100% part of marketing. You need to be good pricing managers. If you understand the business, you can do good pricing. And if you can do good pricing, you can be a successful marketing manager. Marketing is not just creating social media posts. Well, of course, that's an important part of it. But then there are a lot of components to marketing, which I'm sure you have learned over the last year, since the time you have started your MBA program. You may not want to spend too much time on understanding legal issues, but then for supply chain managers, yes, legal issues is definitely required. Cost management, which is actually a sub-function of pricing management, it would be a different perspective, because some of the cost management, if you can do, then your pricing would be better. Expertise in e-procurement system, again, this would be more from an operational perspective, operational KPIs. Contract management is commercials, while marketing may not be completely involved, but definitely a part of marketing is definitely involved in contract management. Ability to understand financial statements, I think every MBA students must know what is a profit and loss statement. Every MBA student, it is not just a supply chain management or marketing or only finance. You all should not say that it's only the domain of finance. No. You all should know what is a profit and loss statement. Even if you all don't know what is a balance sheet or what is a cash flow statement, you need not know those, but then definitely you all should know what is a profit and loss statement. Problem solving is definitely there. Then business ethics is, which is most important. You all are going to be managers. You all have to be ethical managers. And best practice implementation. So these are some of the hard skills that are required. Most of these would be required across function, not just for supply chain management. What are the key soft skills that are required? Again, as I said, this would be across functions, not just restricted to SCM. Effective communication. If you look at communication, communication is of two types, both external communication and internal communication, which are again a function of marketing. When you are doing your communication, your social media would come into the picture. Your internal stakeholders need to be updated. That would be communication. That would be external media related, press, media, news, TV channels. That would be communication. That is one which is there. Plus, when I talk about soft skills, is how you communicate with your stakeholders. How do you communicate with your team? How you are going to be managers in about 6 to 7 months from now. An MBA graduates, you all would tend to become managers very shortly after that. You all will need to communicate effectively with your teams. You all need to have a logical reasoning, which needless to say, and in every MBA needs to have a logical reasoning. Team management, as you all grow, you all would have large teams and you all can manage those teams. Time management, these are soft skills that I'm talking about. Confidence, good personality, understanding customers' expectations. Customer expectation is most important, not just to supply chain management, but also to the finance function, to the HR function, to the marketing function, to the IT function, the admin function, to the operations function, to everybody. Understanding customers' expectation is extremely important. These are some of the soft skills that you all need to have it. And I would be more than happy to answer any question if somebody has anything on customers' expectations. Desire to learn. Every day is a learning experience. Even after 20 years of experience, for me, I'm learning every day. I have managed multiple teams across geographies. I had Germans in my team. I had Danish people in my team. I had Singaporeans. I had Chinese people in my team. I had Arabs in my team. I had Americans in my team. Everybody comes with different cultures. And everybody, there is always this desire to learn somebody else's culture, some other best practice if somebody can give. Most of my team have been either directly managed, being at the location, or remotely managed, but everybody has a desire to learn. Needless to say, there were a lot of Indians in my team who have been able to drive a lot of decision making with the Germans, who are very precise and specific, or Japanese. I have got a way of handling the Japanese team who are so precise and perfect. So Indian team in a team where there are Indians and Japanese in one of the teams that I managed, I found a very stark difference between the Japanese way of working and the Indian way of working. The Japanese were perfectly as per like what you call a Six Sigma. In that to learn from the Japanese team members. But then Indians had even plus things that all things are not negative from the Indian perspective. Indians know how to socialize, which I felt the Japanese still need to learn a lot of things from the Indian teams. So there is a desire to learn each other's culture, desire to learn each other's knowledge, desire to learn and excel. So these are some of the soft skills which are required. Coaching and mentoring, as long as you all grow into your roles, you all will also get into this coaching and mentoring aspect. Move to the next one. What are the various roles in supply chain and logistics? Possibly this is something which will be good to know for you guys. But I can also help you out in other things, like for example, supply chain planning. You would have a lot of planning. In supply chain, a lot of planning needs to be done. Lot of planning. So when you say about demand planning, the supply chain team would pull out somebody from the marketing team and find out what is the demand pattern. Somebody will pull out from the sales team and find out what is this, a cross-functional planning that is happening. Your demand planning in this, there would be the operation team and the supply chain team who are anyway part of each other. They will run. Capacity planning will definitely depend. There would be the sales team who would be part of this, because if you are going to sell iPhones, the salesperson, the sales head would say that I would sell in India, I would sell, say, for example, 1 million iPhones for 2021-22 next year. So the Foxconn facility in India needs to be in Chennai, needs to be ready to manufacture 1 million iPhones because the sales team has told. So capacity needs to be done. Capacity needs to be planned out. Then there is logistics resource. Again, this is complete. The others are supply chain functions that are there. Load planning, logistics planning. Load planning is essentially when you are traveling from destination one to destination, say for you're traveling from, say, Bangalore to Delhi. If you're traveling from Bangalore to Delhi, you would have Indigo Airlines, you would have Go, you would have Vistara, you would have SpiceJet, and you would have Air India and all others. There's a lot of load that goes in the belly space where you put your luggage in. There is also a lot of cargo that go in. So that load planning has to be done. If, for example, iPhones have to move from Chennai to, say, Bombay, iPhones have to move. So from the Foxconn facility to come into the Chennai airport, from the Chennai airport, the load planning, it has to be loaded either into an Indigo Airlines or it has to be loaded into an Air India or a Vistara, and it has to be connected. It has to be connected to Bombay. So how much capacity is needed in that? That is the load planning that will have to be done in the airlines, in the vehicles, whether it moves by road, does it move by a truck or does it move by air? That has to be done. If it has to be exported, ex-Chennai port, suppose it has to go to Singapore, either it goes by air or it goes by sea. All those load planning will be taken care by here, this part. Next is manufacturing and production. So here it is 100% in operations and supply chain. The production, the roles that would be there are production manager, maintenance manager, of course, operator and supervisor, you would not have a lot of MBAs, but then definitely managers, you would have a lot of MBAs. You would have quality managers, you would have production managers, purchasing managers, and production warehouse managers. These are the various roles that I'm talking about. Any questions from anybody till now? Okay, all right. So let's move to the next one. In terms of sourcing and purchasing, again, this is more of an operational perspective. A strategic sourcing manager. However, again, this would be dependent to a certain extent by sales and marketing. How much do I source? If the sales head and the marketing head put together are going to give an estimate that I would need 1 million iPhones to be sold in India in 2021, that is the estimate that has been given by the sales team and the marketing team to the operation and the purchasing team. They will source the spare parts. They will source the spare parts of the iPhone manufacturer of 1 million. So that is strategic sourcing. Then in terms of purchasing and inventory, you have sourced, but then you need to store it. You can't make 1 million iPhones in one day. You will have to ensure that 1 million iPhones are made over a period of 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. You go to an automotive showroom, and you say that I like this particular car, I want to buy this car. The showroom guy says that, no, this is out of stock. So how long will it take? It has got a lead time. Sir, it has got a lead time, or ma'am, it has got a lead time of 90 days. What does that 90 days mean? It means, suppose you want to buy a Honda City, for example, or a BMW, for example. It would say that means 90 days, meaning the order would be registered at the showroom. The showroom would place the order at the back end. The back end would place that order to the factory or the manufacturing location, and the BMW or the Honda car would get manufactured. It would take about 15, 20, 30 days to manufacture one car. After complete full package, all the logistics related requirements should be sorted. That's where the inventory comes in. And then the procurement specialist or manager and the commodities manager comes in. So the important inputs that go out over here is the strategic sourcing. There is one more step before this, and that one more step before this is the forecast, which is the demand one that I talked about, where sales and marketing plays a huge role. Let's move to the next one, logistics and transportation. Logistics and transportation, the car is manufactured. How do you do it? It needs to be moved. Or the iPhone is manufactured, it needs to be moved. So either it moves by road, or it moves by air, or it moves by sea, or it moves by rail. It depends. You would not have a BMW moving by rail, but you definitely have a BMW moving by road, or iPhone moving by air. So all these are taken care by the logistics team, logistics manager, transport manager. The warehouse administrator is a very, very important role, or a warehouse manager is an extremely important role. Now, what I mentioned here to all of y'all is, see, these are the initial roles. As the functions improve, your seniority in the organization improves. By the time you come to logistics and transportation, you grow up to be a logistics director. A logistics director is a very, very important person in any organization. In fact, a CEO of any organization really does get scared of a logistics director. And a logistics director is literally pampered, just like the sales director in any organization, sales and marketing director in any organization. Then comes the management roles. These are the senior management roles. These are the CXO level roles, which are supply chain solution design, supply chain finance, supply chain IT, sales and marketing. These are all the head of departments. These are the CXO level roles for each of these functions. And finally, you end up to be a chief executive officer, a CEO of a company. So for each of these functions, these are functional heads. So you have a sales and marketing head or a sales and marketing director. You have a supply chain or a chief supply chain officer. You have a project management director. You have a supply chain finance director, a supply chain IT director. These are all management roles that gets into each one of these. So that's very, very important in terms of understanding how the hierarchy of organization works. So broadly, these are the points. I just want to have a break here, and I just want to understand from each one of y'all, is this understood by all of y'all? Or is there a question that you would want to ask? You would want to ask any generic question, please feel free to ask me.
Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
You are a little audible, ma'am. If you could just be a little louder.
Sir, I'm Shruti.
Yeah, Shruti, go ahead. Tell me.
Like, how does financial management work in supply chain?
Right. Good question, Shruti.
And how does cost reduction, is there cost reduction management too?
Absolutely. It's a good question, Shruti. I will come to this point. So are you specifically talking about supply chain management, or are you talking about finance as a function? What are you talking about?
In supply chain, how does it work, sir?
Okay. So Shruti, so
Yes,
as far
sir.
as the finance is concerned, see, every procurement that needs to be done, every component that needs to be done, every element that needs to be stored, there is a cost attached to it. That's why I'm talking about supply chain finance. So supply chain finance works from the time your demand starts. So let me give you the correlation. For any product, it is the sales and the marketing team who would give an estimate to the organization that, see, for this month or for the next quarter or for the next 6 months or for the next 1 year, I will be selling, example, 1 million iPhones. That is my target of selling. Now, if I have to sell 1 million iPhones, that estimate that has been given, then the finance comes into picture. Oh, okay. 1 million iPhones, is that a guaranteed? Yes, that is a guaranteed thing, that I will be able to sell 1 million iPhones. The sales and the marketing team is told. We will ensure that enough amount of marketing would be done and it would be sold. So now the question comes is, to make 1 million iPhones, what are the raw materials that are going to be required, where it is needed to be sourced, what is the cost of this raw material, what are the contract terms of this raw materials, what is the credit period of those raw materials, are they the repeat suppliers or they are new suppliers? All these comes under finance. They will try to understand, they will try to negotiate with the suppliers, with the vendors, and then they will design a solution, a financial solution that, see, to sell 1 million iPhones, my cost is going to be, say, X rupees, X million rupees. And that is where the supply chain finance function comes into picture. And supply chain, based on that estimate, the operations team comes into picture, that where they will have to source. A finance team is sitting to make the three statements: profit and loss statement, cash flow statement, and balance sheet. So finance team is responsible to increase the profitability of an organization, while the sales team has told that I will sell 1 million iPhones. What is the cost of making those 1 million iPhones is what finance team will intervene with the operations team to find out, so that I can maximize my profit. That is where the role of finance team comes in supply chain management. Is that clear, Shruti?
Yes, sir. And the cost reduction is the same?
Yes. So in terms of cost reduction, absolutely. So it's a sub function of what I answered. So the finance team, so now the operations team will tell that to procure example, it cost 10,000 rupees. The finance team will say, 1 million iPhones, you're talking about 10,000 rupees. Please negotiate this and get it down to 8,000 rupees a piece. That is where the cost reduction will come in. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Thanks for asking. Any other questions? As I said earlier in the beginning of the session, it's not just restricted only to supply chain management. Please feel free to ask any question that you all feel that will help you out in the next 3 to 4, 5 months. Please remember one thing, guys. I do not know if most of you would be ready to be placed or yet to be placed. Please remember one thing. This year is not really good, right? All of you are aware of it. So you all need to be ready. You all need to prepare yourself very, very thoroughly. The industry is growing, but the job market is also opening up, but it is not as strong as it used to be in 2019. So when you graduate, thankfully the vaccine would be out. And since the
Excuse me,
vaccine
sir.
would be, sorry,
I have one more question.
go ahead.
I have one more question, sir.
Yes, please tell your name.
How Shruti, sir.
Yeah, Shruti, go ahead, tell me.
How does financial losses happen, sir, when they're negotiating, or how does it happen? How does financial loss happen by the supply chain?
Shruti, I got part of your question. How does financial loss?
Losses, yeah.
What happens? Can you complete the
Losses.
sentence?
How does the financial losses is handled by the supply chain management of a company?
Okay. So financial losses. So let me tell you, where does the financial loss come in from? Financial loss means the loss to the organization, right? So the thing is, let's again take the example of that 1 million iPhone. Now, in that 1 million iPhone, you would have selected some tier one supplier. You would have selected three suppliers. You would have selected three suppliers, right? Now, in the three suppliers, you would have found out that supplier one is giving you that iPhone panel for 7,000 or 8,000 rupees. But then in the entire production process, you would have seen to assemble that iPhone, that cost of that would be very, cost is significantly higher than 7,000 rupees. So you would have made that loss out over there. Then the finance team would come and question, you had, to this, to the operations team and the procurement team, that based on your estimate, we went ahead and bought the raw materials from this particular supplier. But it has come into a loss right now. So we changed that. Now we go to second supplier. And now we have learned that where are the potential losses that could have taken place. We go to the second supplier and we say that I am not going to listen to anything less than 5,000, 5,000 rupees for the panel. Then only I'm going to source it from you. So that 5,000 and 8,000, I would be making 3,000 rupees as the profit. But in the other case with supplier one, it was 8,000 was what I bought, 9,000 was actually the cost. So that means I made a loss of 1,000 rupees. So that is how the negotiations happen, and that is how the finance team keeps on monitoring, and that is how the supply chain management gets also impacted, and that is why also the production delays happen, and that is why possibly when you go, to buy a car or any other thing from the market where there is a lot of delay, you have ordered, things have not come in, and that's the reason why the delay happens. So the financial loss is a loss to the organization, and it has to be mitigated. The mitigation can only happen through midterm corrections. And these are some of the corrections that can be taken up by the finance team. Does that answer your question, Shruti?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, sir. My name is Sadhana.
Yes, Sadhana. Tell me.
So the supply chain management is involved in all the fields. So does operations come under supply? I mean, do they work under supply chain management team, or do they work above the supply chain management team?
So Sadhana, it's a very good question. So see, supply chain management is, as I said, it is across all organization. Now, for each industry, the operations are different. Now, if I am to talk about like the word operations in a banking industry, the supply chain is different and the operations are different. So how a bank runs, suppose you have an account with, say, for example, ICICI Bank or an Axis Bank or a HDFC Bank. The way the bank runs, that's an operation. But if you have to move your credit cards, if you have to move your debit cards, if you have to move all your documents, if you have to move all other miscellaneous things of the bank, that is a supply chain, completely different. These two are different functions for as far as the banking is concerned. Now, if I have to talk about an automotive sector, in an automotive sector, so take the example of Tata Motors, the supply chain team and operations team will work hand in hand. They're not separate. In this case, the supply chain team is sitting under the operations team. If I have to take, for example, a luxury segment, say for example, a premium watch, say, let's take the manufacturer of say Rolex watch. The supply chain team and the operations team will work hand in hand. No one is above or below the other. But irrespective of that, supply chain team remains constant across organizations. So I understand where you're coming from. So a person who has got a supply chain experience in a luxury good can manage the supply chain requirements of an automotive good, can manage the supply chain requirement of a consumer electronics company, because 70 to 80% or 70% of the things are similar. 20 to 30% of the things you have to study for a new organization of the new industry. More or less, to answer your question, in some organizations, supply chain is under operations. In some organization, operations and supply chain work hand in hand. No one is under each other. Does that answer your question, Sadhna?
Yes, sir. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions, team? Please feel free to ask. I see a lot of you here. Please feel free to ask the questions. When does your session end? That is in June, July, right?
Sir, July 2021.
July 2021. Okay.
Yes.
And do you all have a formal placement session?
The placement sessions will be there, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And when is that? When does that start?
It will start from next month. Yeah, December.
It will start from December.
Yeah.
So as I was saying before, I think Sadhna asked this question. I think, as you all said, if it starts from December, you all will have to be ready. You all will have to be ready on many things, simply because this year the interviewers are going to ask you a lot of questions which are very basic, but they would want to test your knowledge in any function, whether it is in marketing, whether it is in sales, or any other supply chain management or any other function. You will have to be very, very specific, and you all will have to have that knowledge. And I tell this to most of the young MBA class. Always explain one thing to the interviewer with an example. Give an example of your, since you are about to graduate, most of you would not have a lot of experience. Give an experience from your personal life, how you have created a difference. What have you learned? Give an example. Do not talk generic. If you're going to talk generic, you are going to have a lot of issues. That much I can tell you. So I would just want to understand from a couple of you guys, how big is your marketing team? Can anybody say that?
In terms of numbers,
Yes,
sir.
in terms of numbers.
Around 48 students.
48 students. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And most of the students are essentially, and all of you will pass out in June, July, but and all of them, most of them, they don't have work experience, right? You will be fresh out of the MBA.
Yes, a few students have some kind of work experience. Except a few students, most of the MBA students are fresh students.
Okay, so that gives you a very, very good advantage as well, is that you all can give your experiences, what you all have learned in till the time you all did the MBA. So I think that would help quite a lot. See, no one, let me tell you, and let me give you some practical examples as well. No interviewer is interested in theory. Theory is there in the books. You all can go to the internet, download things. There are tons of materials available on the internet. No one is interested to know that. Give practical, basic, real life examples. That is what the interviewer is interested to listen in. The interviewer is listening that if you have failed, it's good. You have to tell what you have learned from your failure by giving an example. Do not give any generic statements by downloading from the internet. Give something which will make the interviewer feel that this person is somebody who can learn things. If you make it generic, the interviewer will catch you guys. So I think these are some basic things which you all should know in this year's interview more specifically. Okay, all right. Any other questions?
Students, if you have any questions, you can just ask. Sir, this Harshit Babu, faculty
Harshit.
of MBA BU.
Yeah.
Sir, on behalf of the students, I just want to ask a small question. Like, if they want to opt some kind of job aspects, like career aspects of supply chain, so what kind of roles they can target, sir, like from the company point of view, to start off with, to start their career in supply chain?
See, I'll tell you what, you all have specialized in marketing, right?
Yeah, they are specialized in marketing. Yeah.
Correct. So you all should target lot of companies into sales and marketing roles in a lot of logistics companies. And let me tell you one thing. Let me just go back to a few slides and let me tell you where. Just 1 minute. Here, support functions in sales and marketing is what you all should try. In supply chain management, this is the most lucrative segment. This is the most highly paid segment. This is not that much. Of course, these are based on size, sector, and scope. This is as not these. These are, you know, they are well paid, definitely, but this is the maximum area where it is paid in support function in any logistics company. And let me tell you, to answer your question, Harshit, I'll tell you which are the sectors. Service providers. Go to the service providers. You should join management consulting companies or third-party logistics or fourth-party logistics or supply chain technology firms or carriers or freight forwarders. So these are the areas which is most highly paid. There are a lot of opportunities that come in for sales and marketing teams. There are a lot of innovative roles that come in. There are a lot of domestic and international opportunities that come in. To start your career with, this is the best place to learn things. Service providers in sales and marketing. Does that answer your question, Harshit?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I don't think there are further questions, sir, like from the students' point of view.
Okay. All right.
Hi, sir. Sir, I just have one more doubt, sir.
Yes, one more question.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, Sadhna, go ahead.
Sir, if we want to go into some pure marketing job, not the sales, sir, like any marketing analyst or any of the marketing jobs, do we have to take up a separate course or what, sir?
No, you don't have to take any course if you have to get into a marketing job. Do not do that. In marketing, let me tell you some basic things. While your degree is good, it's nice to have. It's good. You should go and you should excel. Most important thing, Sadhna, and to all the students who are present here, is that you should excel. Do not just ignore it. What is needed is creativity. In marketing, it is your personal creativity. It is your communication. And most importantly, to bind all this thing is that you should be able to learn. These three things are extremely important. Do not bother about getting any degrees, any certificates. See, You can always go and get a Google certificate on digital marketing, Google certificate on something else. These are always available. This you can do anytime, but you have to put it to use. Do not go for any other certification. Your MBA is more than enough. Just go out and learn. In the first 2 years of your career, do not think about anything else other than learning. Learn in the job, learn on the job. And you can join any of the options that I mentioned, and it's not necessarily logistics and supply chain. Anything in marketing, go whichever organization you join, learn that thing very well, because then that becomes the foundation, and do not leave the job immediately. Learn at least for 2 years before you decide to change your role. And if you do well, you continue in that role. But at least learn the basics, put you in an extreme hard work, because that is what is going to help you out in your subsequent career. There will always be many certifications that is there, and every time you do, every year there will be new certifications coming. So there is no limit to that. So just learn. Does that answer your question, Sadhna?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? If there is any other question, I would be more than happy to take. Okay. So Harshit, I don't think there is any more question.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sir, I have one question, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Your name, please.
So, my name is Shambhavi.
Yes, Shambhavi, tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, what if interviewer asks that, what is the marketing role, marketing role will be an interview, for example. Then what is your role? And if I give you one contact, how you lead that? If they ask means, how can be our answer, sir? Accurate answer, like point to point wise, like that.
So let me just rephrase your question. Your question, Shambhavi, is that if you are a marketing manager, what will you do? Is that what you want to ask?
No, sir. No, not manager. I'm asking about marketing role. If I give if some interviewer asks us, like if I give you a contact and ask you to lead that lead generation, prospecting the contact and making him to buy something from us. So how you lead that contact to sell your product? Like that, I'm asking.
Understood.
Okay.
So Shambhavi, you will first have to, once your lead has been given, you would first want to study that lead a little bit. You do a little bit of a research, correct? Suppose you want to join, suppose you want to say, you want to join a company. I'm just giving an example of, say, you want to join Lenovo, for example. Giving an example, Lenovo, and your role is that you need to, sell laptops, for example, to say corporate clients, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now you would essentially want to know, you would want to study the corporate first. You do a little bit of a research. Say you want to sell Lenovo laptops to say for example, you want to sell Lenovo laptops to DSU, Dayanand Sagar University.
Yes, sir.
Right. You would study Dayanand Sagar University. How many students are there? Who would lead? Does the university provide laptops, or does the university provide grants or subsidized laptops? What is the configuration of laptops the university requires the students to get? So you will do a lot of research about this, about the Dayanand Sagar University then, right? Before you start as an organization to sell Lenovo laptops to the university, correct?
Yes, sir.
Once you have understood that, then you need to know who is the person whom you are meeting to sell the laptops. So is the person from the procurement department, or is this a person from an admin department, or is the person from HR department, or is it from a marketing or a sales department within the university?
Yeah.
You would need to know that. Once you have known that, then you'd taken, sort of an appointment, you'd sit and you'd further understand and say in front of that person, you would say that, see, this is what I know about the university. Can you please correct me if I'm wrong, or is there something new thing you'd want to add?
Yeah.
So then you'd scope the details, and then you'd come back to Lenovo and say that, see, this is what is required. These are the things that are needed to be done, and this is what I need to sell. So you need to do a lot of research somewhere before you actually go and sell it.
Yes, sir.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. It will be a procedure from starting from knowing the things, like researching about who is our buyer, and who with their needs and wants, and then generating the lead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions?
Students, do you have any other questions? Just post it across and just ask Professor Tamal Das. Yeah. So no further questions, I think so, sir.
Okay. 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 Thank you all. Thank you all. It was good to interact with you all. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thanks
sir.
a lot, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.